Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to Making 3, and today I'm going to be giving you part 22 of What If Naruto Had the Ultimate Nature Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was a Hope of the Uchiha clan over on Anime King, and enjoy that guys. And stay tuned for a brand new episode coming over on Making 2, which I hope that you guys enjoy. And remember, if it's the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support, and yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, the seal had activated. As Mainman knew that Naruto was accessing more than 4 tail worth of the Bichu's power, something was wrong. He was gonna go alone, but Minato sent the others behind him, Seisumi, Sakura, and Kakashi. When they arrived towards the scene, it was nothing but devastation. Wood release, destruction, lightning coursing through the air. The place was still saturated. The place was wet, damp. Chaos had happened here. As they looked around, they couldn't find any sight of Naruto, but they saw bodies of stone ninjas. This was a plan that was set up by Zetsu. As the Akatsuki had gathered, they were all shocked that all of the members were taken down that they sent. As Konan couldn't believe it, she knew that Naruto was powerful, but to this extent, Nagato had sent them in a precaution just in case, but he realized they underestimated Naruto's power. The masked man looked towards him and told him that he will have to go to handle it. But Nagato did not fear Naruto after all. How can a boy compare to a god? The group had returned back to Konoha with one of the white Zetsus that came formed to inform them that he saw what happened, as Minma had put a seal on him rather quickly and carried him back with nothing but a burst of speed. At Konoha, all over the Elemental Nation, news was going through that the Hidden Stone had killed Naruto Uzumaki. Everyone was shocked by that. Everyone couldn't believe what they were hearing. It even spread to Konoha so quickly, the news was going far and wide. As the Raikage was smiling after hearing that. Only he was glad that the news spread, seeing that no one knew that he had Naruto, and they could take away the tail beast from him. So with that out of the way, as Kushina rushed towards him into his office after hearing what she heard. As the man was stern, he was serious. As he didn't know what to tell her, as he overheard himself as well. Minma came back as Inuichi went through the mind of Zetsu. He was able to show them the holographic image, and they saw Naruto standing there. He got blasted from all eras. They watched as the stone ninjas took him down, obliterating his body. The only thing that was left was a piece of his armor. Kushina broke down, as Minma was losing it. Minato had to flash him out of there, as he had to calm Minma down. Minma wanted to go there himself, to make them all pay. But Minato was able to snap reasoning to him, even though Minato was shaking visibly. Minato called a council meeting that day. He was done. The man was dead serious. They wanted a war. They're gonna get a goddamn war. This was the final straw. Meanwhile, as Fukawa noticed something about his daughter's eyes. After she watched that image of Naruto being slaughtered, her eyes shifted into something else. Something further than the Sharingan. But he didn't say anything about it. As she had went home and locked herself in her room. She didn't want to talk to anyone, she just wanted to be alone right now. As that was going on, Naruto was being tortured for information. But yet he laughed. They could not get inside his head because the fox would rip him apart. And it will take time for them to find a suitable host, and for them to transfer tail beast out of Naruto towards that host. After all, they weren't that defined as Funjutsu like the Uzumakis or Konoha. But while this was going on, Naruto warned the Hokage that he was gonna regret this. Kurosaki and the others there, they simply joked it off. As more torturing sessions went on, Katsumi and Konoha asked where her brother was, as she thought that he was supposed to be home by now. Kushina couldn't answer her question as she put her daughter to sleep. As she exits, she broke down into Minato's arms, unable to walk. She couldn't believe it as she lost another child. She couldn't handle it, but she had to be strong for Katsumi, as she didn't know how she was going to tell her daughter. Meanwhile, as time passed, Naruto stood there in his cell. He was waiting on something. That was the only reason why he wasn't escaping yet, because he had the means to do so. But an opportunity finally arrived. As Naruto entered Sage Mode, Naruto had counter seals over his body, literally under his skin that was burned into him. These seals that they placed on him could not hold him, as they were burned off rather quickly. In his Sage Mode, Naruto shattered the chains. The guard that was there, Naruto made promise on his threat, as he completely smashed the man into oblivion. He then summoned 3 clones, all of them enhanced with Sage Mode energy, as they knew what to do. So yeah guys, so basically as we left off, you guys can switch across to the play sector for yourself. So this will begin this new episode. We begin this new episode at Kiri, where the Mizukage maid Terumi sat in her office. She currently was looking through the window. Things were moving. It has been a couple of days since the death of Naruto, and things were moving quickly. Minato has sent a letter to her already. He was going to war. She had to make her choice now. He didn't ask for her support in the battle, but Konoha would be taking on the 2 great nations, with his son offering what they could. He would like to know that she could be there to support Konoha once this was over, because everyone would lose in this war, and he would like to know that he had her aid. Over the past 4 years, Kiri had rebuilt. Financially, they were not struggling anymore, and they were returning back to normalcy. Not to mention he was the one that offered up his sons to help in the rebellion. She had sent her messengers towards the elemental nations to ask for help, but none of them, no one. Every other village said that they will stay neutral, but yet Minato offered her his help. After hearing the dire situation that they were in and what the Mizukage was doing, she started to write her a letter back to Minato. She couldn't leave him high and dry after all he did, as she agreed. She would not be participating, but after the war, Kiri will be extending a branch towards Konoha to make sure that they are stable. She could do that much. Afterwards, she gave the letter to one of her top messengers to go back to Konoha. Time skip. Minato, usually a calm man, always smiling most of the time, happy to be around his family. Rarely, for the past couple of days, the smile on his face was no longer there. There was nothing. For the past couple of days since Naruto's demise, Katsumi did not know. They were able to manage a flow of information from getting to her, as they believed that they should be the one to tell her, not for her to hear from some random people. But it was hard. It was difficult. As the time passed, she thought her brother was coming back, and they couldn't do that to their loving daughter. So tonight was the night that they told her. Tonight is gonna be the night. Minato felt a pain in his heart as it gripped his chest. It was horrible. Katsumi loved Naruto more than anyone else. Yes, as hard as it was to say that, she just admired him. Yes, she loved her mother and father, but she admired Naruto as her hero. Minato was grateful for that because Katsumi could keep Naruto in check. Because he loved his sister so much, he was able to forcefully put his emotion on display despite not feeling them. But now they had to tell her. Kushina was breaking on the inside, but she was trying her best to be there for Katsumi. She hadn't let her out of her sight since. Minato was waiting on the Mizukage. He was waiting on to hear what she had to say. But it doesn't matter what she said, he was going to war anyway. He had went over several precautions, several council meetings. Garo will be here in 2 days' time so that they could talk and finalize their forces. Minato and Menma was going to be appearing on the battlefield. Minato would not give them a chance of thinking that they had the power to put them down ever again, to challenge them ever again. He was going to take the stone and Kumo Jinchurikis. He made the council see reason just because he had the Bijus. They thought that he had the power to ensure themselves of winning this war. They had them tamed under their 4 Jinchurikis, which was up against Konoha. But Menma is or if not better than, the first Hokage when he comes towards Mokiton. He could subdue them with ease, and not to mention the both of them were Fuinjutsu masters. Menma had surpassed him in that era, and so was Naruto. Naruto had surpassed the both of them in Fuinjutsu. He took more to it, but the both of them were well aware of sealing away a tail beast, as he could suppress them on the battlefield. Menma Mokiton would be the best in that case. He would take away their leverage, he would take away their strength. If he had to make the other nations fear him, to make them tremble in fear at his name, and at his village, he would do that. Because no more will he allow this to happen. He will be taking a stance here. Jiraiya was seeing this as not changing the world, but putting it under a strict formation. But Minato was already made up his mind. If they did not do this now, then again, war will start. What will happen when Katsuno is older? Will they try to come after her as well? The man clenched his fist. He would not allow that to happen. He would end this once and for all. He would enter the battlefield as a yellow flash once again. If he had to slaughter thousands to do it, he would bring peace by any means necessary. Meanwhile, at the Hidden Stone, things were calm despite the tension outside. People knew that there were going to be a war because the news had spread a while. But the Hidden Stone ninjas, they act like they were untouchable. They pretend like they did not fear anyone despite the slaughteration that happened in the Third Great Shinobi War. Despite the flee on side order from Minato no Mikaze. Just because the man has been calm these days, they thought that his power has lessened, or that he has weakened. Well, they will soon know the wrath that was going to be falling on them. Meanwhile, at the office, Oniki was currently sitting calmly. Things were going good as he was looking at Kurosaki was speaking. He said it will take him a few more days to finish the seal. The top Fuinjutsu masters here, they weren't that, well, top when they were considered the other Uzumaki members. But this was the 9 tails they were talking about. They had to create a seal powerful enough to hold the beast. Good, said Oniki. Once that is over, we will hit the way until the end of this war. But what if we're being overwhelmed, she said. Oniki went into deep thought. Minato and that boy Menma, the Uchihas, the Hyugas, they will be difficult. If things are going too bad, we will bring it out on battlefield. In its new Jinchuriki hosts, the Raikage will be too caught up in the war for him to do anything about it, because if he surely turn against us, the both of us will fall, and I'm sure that is not what he wants. We will then buy time until we're ready to conquer Humo, and then we go after Kiri, and then we decimate the remaining forces of Konoha, then we go after the San. And the Hidden Stone will rule, said Kurosaki, finishing the sentence for him with a smile on her face. It didn't matter what she had to do, who she had to betray or who she had to kill, she would always make sure the Hidden Stone was on top of everything. Suddenly, an immense pressure could be felt. The Anzus flashed into the office as Onki turned his head towards a window. Fire style. Raging Tiger. Kurasaki's eyes went wide when they saw Naruto Uzumaki mid-air as he released a massive red flame from his mouth that took the shape of a tiger. It was big as the head office that they were currently in. Oniki flashed through hand sign as he quickly created the particle style. The beam burst through his window, obliterating the wall as it disintegrated the fire style into nothingness. Yet the boy was gone. Oniki then felt something on top of them. Before he could blink or do anything else, an explosion went off. He quickly fired his particle style at the building top that came crumbling down as he reduced it to dust, so that Kurosaki and the others wouldn't get squashed. He flew out of his destroyed tower, only to see Naruto standing on one of the highest buildings. Not as high as his tower that was now destroyed. It was the second highest, no first. Oniki was shocked. How the hell did he escape? You like explosions, huh? Said Naruto as he placed them together. Explosion release. Cosmic boom. All around the village, kunais, shurikens started to glow. Before chaos spread, screams of terror could be heard as explosions ripped through the building, tearing apart building explosions, devastating the buildings. Unki flew down towards Naruto, his hands got covered in rock. As he brought them down, Naruto flashed away, replacing a stack of explosion. Unki crossed his arm as the things went off, obliterating the building. The old man was thrown. He crashed into the side of his tower. As he started to fall, he was grabbed by Kurasuke, who smashed her heel through the building, crashing inside as she came to a roll, placing her grandfather down. Unki coughed as he quickly got up to his feet. How the hell did he escape? Meanwhile, on another section of the village, Naruto stood there as he flashed through hand sign, his features marred by sage mode. As he slammed his hands together, wood style, nativity of the sea of trees, he said as he slammed his hands together. Hundreds, probably thousands, of vines started to break through the earth. As they started to spread like wildfire, tearing through buildings, ninjas quickly went on defenses. Kunais and shurikens were thrown the explosive tags to blow them away. Orders were quickly being given out. Ninjas were being caught up in the vine and skewered. They were being slaughtered. Explosions ringing everywhere. Devastation and destruction spreading through the village. That was when the vine started to bloom. As Naruto on top of the building had his hands slammed together as he roared, pouring the last amount of power that was given to him out into the attack. The vines bloom as a mist started to spread through the village. People started to drop like fly until a massive particle star could be seen that started to incinerate some of it. A furious Unki appeared. The clone on top of the building finally poofed away, using up all the power that was given to it. Meanwhile, the real Naruto stood. He was a bit on the outskirts of the village, but not that far. He was still in the village walls. There was a desolate area that looked like a training ground. There was nothing there, nothing to be seen. It didn't look important. He's gone, said Naruto. As he looked over where he saw the smoke, well, he did his job. Now it's time for you to do your job, said Kurama. As Naruto jumped up in the air, he was now bursts of wind to propel himself up. His body was enhanced by sage mode as he locked his fists together. His body then started to twist. Massive winds started to pick up around him. Storm release, he said, as water started to pick up around him as well, including lightning. Tornado drill. As Naruto came down like a bomb, he drilled right through the training ground, breaking through several layers of earth, tearing through an iron wall. Nothing slowed him down or stopped him. His body, fortified by sage mode, granted him extra speed and extra strength. Meanwhile, far down below, currently in a room, was Roshi and Han. Ever since everything started up, Unki had insisted that they come back to the village. Their effort would be needed. The only reason why they are allowing themselves to be here was because, well, more than one reason. They got everything they wanted here. It was kind of special treatment. For staying inside, at least they were being captivated, but at least they were not being seen or being used as prisoners. And Unki promised that he would leave them, so they can do what they want after this war was over. He assured them that this would be the last one after all. It was a calm day for them as usual, as they were too far below the surface to know what was going on. That was when Han looked up, feeling something strange, as the place started to shake. Roshi looked towards him. What is it? Asked Roshi. Before Han could say anything, the roof exploded. As Han blinked in surprise, covering his face by debris. But he was not prepared when he heard Roshi cry out in pain. As he opened his eyes to find out that Roshi had a boot implanted in his face. The Senjutsu enhanced kick sent Roshi sailing like a bullet as he crashed right through the wall. Han reached out and grabbed this intruder's feet and smashed him down to the ground. As Han raised his fist and brought it down, Naruto tilted his head as the ground was obliterated by the man's fists. Naruto brought up both of his legs and slammed it into the man's armor. The kick crashed into Han so powerful that it launched him backwards. Han crashed through the side of the building. He didn't stop until he was in the mess hall. When he looked up, Naruto came descending down on his chest. As Naruto dropped his fist right into Han, the entire mess hall shook. The ground trembled under weight, as Naruto's fist was nothing easy. He was already powerful, stronger than Snazzy by a whole lot, enhanced by Sage Chakra. The armor burst open, revealing the man. Naruto's 5 fingers started to glow as he stabbed it into Han's stomach. Han screamed out in pain as black lines started to go all over his skin as Naruto forcefully used his chakra as a seals bind Han's body until his eyes rolled over as he went unconscious. Naruto then felt something as he rolled to the side. Roshi, that was covered in 3 tails, came swinging at him. As Naruto rolled, Roshi came dropping down. His 2 fists connected as he dropped it where Naruto's head was supposed to be, trying to turn it into squash melon. As Naruto got back up to his feet, Roshi gained another tail as he did not hesitate to shot forward. He came towards Naruto like a wild animal. As Naruto rushed towards him as well, both men slammed into the center as a sonic boom went off, blowing away Han's body as he started to struggle for dominance. Roshi's eyes went wide when Naruto picked him up and crushed him into the earth, smashing his head down. The helmet on his head was obliterated. Roshi tried to get up, but Naruto pulled his head back and crushed it into Roshi's skull. The man collapsed right on his back as Naruto slammed him right in the stomach, his fingertips glowing with chakra as he blinded his chakra, sealing away everything as Roshi's eyes rolled back in the back of his head. As he went unconscious, Naruto panted as Sage Mode left him. He didn't have time to waste as he created that clone before dispelling it. That clone's memory got transferred to the clone that was currently meditating. He poofed away as the Sage Mode rushed back into Naruto. As Naruto got up to his feet, meanwhile at Konoha, Jiraiya stood in front of Minato. They closed off their borders. They knew that the war was coming, so the Hidden Stone and Kumas closed off their borders. Konoha was doing the same thing. It was time for war after all. Minato was rather upset that the summoning creatures did not get along so well. After all, he knew the boss of the summons, Mufasa, could have summoned Naruto just in case, even though he saw the memory with his own eyes. He believed there was some hope of Naruto being alive. A small tiny part of him believed that. But the frog summons did not know where the lions resided. The animals were not really friends, and they did not get along. And the lions, through the year, only had one contract holder, and Naruto was the second one. So they did not formalize with other people, so they couldn't contact them at all. Minato said, Jiraiya, are you sure this is what you want to do? Minato was snapped from his thought. I've already made up my mind, Sensei, and I'm not going to change it. Jiraiya sighed. It seems that there was no help in it. But he knew once this happened, once Minato did this, and if this really came out with Konoha on top of it, the war was not going to end. Minato was just going to force the world into a false hope of peace, but it was going to be a dictatorship, because Minato was going to disband the Hidden Stone and Kumo. He was going to take away the Hidden off their name. He was going to turn them into minor villages. It seems that this war will truly be the last great ninja war, but no one knew what the future might bring. They just have to wait and see. Meanwhile that was going on, Oniki was panting as he stopped all of the chaos that was happening to his village. But it cost him. So many of his ninjas lie dead, beaten, battered, bruised. Civilians crushed under buildings. He was able to decimate those clones of Naruto. They were just clones. They had went back to the cell and it was completely empty. And he made true on his promise. He had ripped out the man that tortured him eyes. The man's back was broken. He made good on his promise. That did not make Oniki feel any better, but he did not fear a simple boy. Because where was he now? He was hiding, but yet Oniki was panicking. What if the boy released the 9 tails inside the center of his village? That would be bad. That will be detrimental to most of his shinobis. And this war, well, things would just go in the opposite turn that he did not want it to go in. As he wanted to know where the hell was that boy. Suddenly, an envoy flashed by his side. Sir, we found him. Oniki looked towards Anvu. As Kurasa closed right beside him, they moved rather quickly, making their way. When they arrived, Onki's eyes went wide to where Naruto was standing. Naruto was surrounded. Oniki was informed on the way what he did. Where are they? Oniki said. As he looked towards Naruto with pure anger in his eyes. Strangely enough, Naruto was leaning up against a wall, despite being surrounded by a bulk of the Hidden Stone forces. None of them had engaged yet, because Han and Roshi they were gone. I took them, said Naruto. Are you blind? Unki clenched his fists. What did you do with them? Why the hell should I tell you that, said Naruto. Unki looked around. Despite that you stood here, waiting for me to return. You must be more stupid than I thought, Unki said. As Naruto laughed. You're mistaken, old man, said Naruto. Do you really think you can live your life, said Kurosaki. You know, I was hoping to kill you during the exam, said Naruto. But yet you survived this long. But I assure you, the next time we meet up will be the last. You know what they say. The third time is a charm. How delusional are you to think that you're really gonna escape this place? Are you that stupid? Oh, perhaps not, said Naruto. But you would like to hear me very well. I told you once before, I hope that you pick a successor. But I was mistaken. Because you think I fear Konoha, Unki said. You think I fear any of your threats. Konoha? You're gravely mistaken once again, old man, said Naruto. It's not Konoha you have to fear, it's me. Because when I come back here, I'm gonna raise your village to hell. I want you to look me in the eyes when I say this. I've already shown that I kept to my promises. That guard, I ripped his eyes out. He did not know when his death was coming, but he did get it. After I snapped his spine to make sure he was in the worst pain possible. So when I say this, I don't want you to think that it's merely a threat, but it's a goddamn promise. When I come back here, you can pray to whatever kami you believe in, because I will decimate the Hidden Stone down to the last man. I will turn this into a bunch of rubble. There will be no other selection of Tishikage because I will erase that name from any Stone Ninja's mind who dare try to stand in my way. I will break you, I will break this village, I will break this nation, the Stone Daimyo, all of them. I will bring everything down to its knees. I will tear apart your system, piece by piece until there is nothing left. And I will make sure that my face is the last thing that the both of you see, because you both will die. And that's not a threat, it's a goddamn promise. So remember those words when you see me appearing in front of you, because my face is the last thing that you will see. Enough of your babbling, Unki said. Grab him. As they moved forward, Naruto poofed away. What the hell just happened, Unki said. He was sure that wasn't a clone. It looked like he was reverse summoned somewhere. Kurosaki stood there. She didn't know why. Why her hand was shaking. Was it because of his damn threat? What was she supposed to fear from him? He was nothing. Why? No. She couldn't fear someone like that. She was Kurosaki of the Stone. As she watched as Unki shouted orders, she couldn't help but tremble a bit. Her hand was trembling. Why, damn it, she shouted to herself. Kurosaki! She was snapping her thoughts to her grandfather, spoke to her and gave her orders. Yeah, she nodded back. As she made her way with the troops that he gave her to scout the entire border to make sure that they find him and bring him back here, ninjas were quickly sent out to find him immediately. As they were gone, Unki smashed his face in a nearby wall, completely obliterating it. He should have known. The boy would go after their tail beasts after all. They wanted to take him, so he took theirs. But how did he even know that you were here? How the hell did he even escape? Things were not adding up. They made absolutely no sense and Unki didn't know what to say or what to do now. When Kumo found out about this, damn it! He would just have to ensure them that he was using the boy for his own benefit, because the Alliance couldn't afford to be breaking down right now, because if it was, Konoha and the Sand would obliterate them. Even though he did not fear that boy, his words shook some of his ninja and he saw it very clearly. Damn it. Damn it, he cursed to himself once again. Meanwhile, as Naruto appeared in a poof of smoke, Naruto, standing right there. Well, mostly sitting, was the king of all lions, Mufasa. When Shira told me that you need to be reverse summoned here, in a panic, I was wondering what was going on. What sticky situation do you find yourself in this time? Well, I suppose you didn't hear. It's a long story though. I have time. Well, I suppose I can spare 5 minutes. As Naruto sat down as he spoke to the head lion. Is that so? So you got caught by the Hidden Stone village, said Mufasa as he looked at Naruto. But yet you were still able to escape. Well, they were stupid to think that their idiotic seals could bind you. A seal master. That is the greatest I've ever seen before. Oh, that was your big mistake, said Naruto. As he was standing there in front of the lion, who had got one of them to get Naruto a fluffy coat. He was still wearing his torn pants, and his feet was bare on the ground. Well, your family must be worried about you. Shara will be the one to reverse summon you out. So she's already gone. But otherwise, this means that there's going to be a war, isn't it? As Naruto nodded. Well then, it's been a while since I've stretched my feet. Make sure that you summon me on the battlefield when you're ready. Oh, of course, said Naruto. I will need you and your family's aid to decimate the force. Well, as long as it's an entertaining battle, I have no problem. As Naruto felt a tug on his chakra. Well, I have to go now. Wait, there's something else I wanted to tell you. Huh? What is it? The man who possessed the same eyes as you. When he came here, and we spoke, there was something about him that now what you have told me has given me a reason to believe that he lacked his emotions when he came here, or they were slowly diminishing. Huh? Said Naruto, confused. But he told me something that I think you should know. He said that he needs to forgive himself. Forgive himself, said Naruto. As Naruto remembered that strange dream that he had when he saw the former leader, and he told him to forgive himself. But what does he mean by that? The lion yawned, showing off all of his sharp teeth. I'm not too sure about that. I guess you would find out that one by yourself. Well, thanks, it's still useful, said Naruto. See ya. The lion nodded as Naruto poofed away. When Naruto reappeared, the blue lion was there with her tail that looked like blue fire. I'm glad to see that everything went well, she said. Thank you for getting back so fast, Sharakan, said Naruto. Was the timing perfect, she asked. Did you get to finish what you wanted to say? Yes, said Naruto. As Naruto looked around, or in the Fire Nation, he thought that she would have brought him right to Konoha. Well, I thought that we might have a race back to your village. It's been a long while since the both of us tested our speed against each other. As Naruto smirked at that, are you sure that you can keep up, he asked. You insult me, she said. You do know that I'm the fastest of my kind, correct? Well, I haven't forgotten, it's just, I've gotten a lot faster. Make sure you can keep up, she said. As Naruto shifted his feet on the ground. Well then, anytime you're ready. She flicked her tail. Ready, set, go. With that, the both of them started to burst right through the Fire Nation with a speed that could barely be seen by others. As they were running, meanwhile, inside his mindscape, the fox stood there as he looked around the field that he was in. Well, it was much better than being a sewer. He noticed something was changing about Naruto. He heard the conversation. Forgive yourself, he didn't know what that meant. But perhaps it was something for the kid to find out. But he could see that things were changing with him. Mostly so. He was not faking that he was happy to be free. Even though his emotion might be still dim, his expressions are coming back naturally. Like him smirking at the right time, smiling at the right time. It was coming back. Perhaps it will take a while, but it will come back. But Cram didn't understand that last part. Forgive yourself. He didn't know what that meant. Meanwhile, back at the village, the envoys were all put to their jobs, as several things were being done to make sure that they were prepared for this war. So the border patrol that was usually there was being stretched thin. Everyone knew that the villages wouldn't attack at this time. Jerry has already gathered intel that their borders are locked. So for right now, the village was being protected, but the border patrol envoys were not there. So that is why they didn't see him coming. As Naruto moved with a speed that teared through the forest, both him and Shira was moving, their speed blurring past trees, dashing, leaping, before the two of them obliterate two trees as he came to a smashing crash right near to the village. As both of them stopped a few distance away from the wall, as she looked towards him, she was fast, but Naruto was faster. As he wiped the sweat from his brow, "See, I told you," said Naruto. "I have gotten faster. You might, but I was still holding back, so I would not disrespect your honor." "Oh, is that so?" said Naruto. "Well, I was also holding back as well." "What?" she said. "Well, if you haven't noticed, I did not enter Sage Mode, and I could also push my body to its limit, speed up everything inside of me by using wind and electricity." She was surprised. "You were holding back that much?" "Sorry," said Naruto. "It's just I've gotten a lot faster." "Well, seems like I'll have to up my speed," she said. "The next time we race, I will be on top." "That you will," said Naruto as he patted her on the head. "I will be on my way now," she said to him. As Naruto nodded, she poofed away. Naruto stood there. He was doing things that he hasn't done in the past 4 years. His gestures of apologizing and looking remorseful was returning to him. He smiled to himself. It didn't seem so strange to him once again. Yet his emotions weren't really back, but he felt different. But the last part still had him perplexed. That dream, and what Mufasa told him. "Forgive yourself." "Hey, you have any idea?" said Naruto. "How should I know? I don't have your eyes," said Kurama. "Yeah," said Naruto. "Hey, thanks." "For what?" "And I tell you to stop thanking me. It's weird." "Come on. You did give me a choker so I could pull that off. If you had gotten captured, I would have been taken away. And I'd rather stay here. That doesn't mean I like you." "Well, it doesn't matter," said Naruto. "I just want to say thanks." "Stop thanking me. It's weird." As Naruto laughed at that. "You're too prideful sometimes." "What if I am? I'm the most powerful Biju. I can swat away mountains the flick of my tail. So yeah, I'm prideful, alright?" "I didn't say anything was wrong with it," said Naruto, as he started to walk. As Naruto took in a breath when he saw his village, he could feel the era. The moment he got closer, he could feel the tenseness. People were tense, including civilians, after all. They knew. They heard about his death, so they knew that a war would be starting. And war was never good. And not to mention one of their greatest heroes had fallen. But they still had Minato, Menma. They still have plenty of other strong shinobis. As Naruto arrived near the gate, "Halt," said Katetsu, as he saw someone arrive in a giant, fluffy, brown fur. It was a coat that he was wearing. What? Katetsu was shocked when he saw the face. He then pulled his kunai as he narrowed his eyes. "Who the hell are you?" he said, as Naruto scratched the back of his head. "Are you blind? Naruto Uzumaki died a few days ago. Who are you?" the man asked. "Oh yeah, that's right. They think that you're dead, dumbass." "I can assure you I'm Naruto Uzumaki," said Naruto, "and I'm not dead." "That's impossible," said Izumo. "Everyone heard about your death." As Izumo raised his hand trying to dispel this illusion, but it was not dispelling. Transformation, perhaps, said Izumo as he came closer. As he touched Naruto, "It's real," he said, looking towards Katetsu. "But I was being held prisoner," said Naruto. He knew that it would be hard to explain to them because everyone thought he was dead. So he just sped off. "Hey!" they shouted. But he was already gone, his speed. They could not even keep up. Meanwhile, at the office, Menma was sitting down as he was looking at his father. "How long will it take?" he said. "A couple more days," said Minato. Menma's fist was clenched. He couldn't wait. "I need you to keep yourself calm," said Minato. "Going into this rash will only get you killed." "What about the others?" Menma said, ignoring that statement. "Like Old Man Sarutobi, your sensei. They always believe in peace, and this is completely different. Because, for once, we're making the move." and we're gonna take it in our hand. I have already made up my mind, and nothing will change that, said Minato. They have pushed me over and over again, and this time, I'll be pushing back. Glad to hear that, said a voice. Minato froze hearing that voice. After all, if my demise would not push you to do something to finally, to show these bastards who's the strongest, I would have been pissed. Even in my death, I would have come back to haunt you, father. Minato got out of his chair as he saw Menma looking like he was seeing a ghost. The window was pushed open as Naruto stepped inside. The moment he did, he was surrounded by envoys. As Naruto sighed, "Would you tell him to stand down?" said Naruto. Menma looked at his brother as he stepped forward. "But how? Do you really think those bastards could kill me?" said Naruto. "Do you lack faith in me, brother?" Naruto asked. As tears filled in Menma's eyes, Naruto pushed past the envoys when they realized it was truly him. It wasn't a transformation or illusion. It was him. As Naruto went over and placed a hand on Menma's shoulder. "Come on, don't cry," said Naruto. "We don't do that." Before Naruto could say anything else, he was cut off as Menma hugged him. "Well, I guess I can give you that one," as he patted Menma on the back. Before Menma pulled away, all kinds of emotion washing across his face as Naruto turned towards his father. "Fine. This is gonna happen a lot today after all." As he opened his arms, Minato came forward and hugged his son. Tears in the man's eyes, as he couldn't believe it, he was alive. A part of him always tell him that somehow Naruto's out there alive. But after seeing the video, his mind didn't want to believe it, but now, his son was here. His son was home. Minato broke away. How, he asked. "I got captured by the Hidden Stone. They were planning to remove 9 tails from me. That was a stupid idea on their part, to keep me alive," said Naruto. "I got the chance and I took it. Not before making sure they regret what they did to me," said Naruto. His tone was a bit dark as he spoke. Minato couldn't believe it. His son was really here. His son was... He looked towards one of the envoys. "Go to my house. Tell Kushina that she should come here immediately and bring Katsumi." The envoy nodded and flashed away. As Naruto sat down on the couch, "I'm exhausted." As he lay back in the couch, and I'm all dirty, he says. He looked over himself. "What did they do?" asked Minato. "But for one, they wanted information on Konoha. They tried to torture it out of me." "I bet you didn't tell him a damn thing," said Menma. He for one knew what Ibiki had put Naruto through, something that Naruto asked for. The highest pain of torture to make sure that, well, he was immune to anything that anyone else might throw at him. Not even Menma could go that far in torturing. But Naruto was something else. Damn right. My suspicions were correct. Unki was the one that had their cascade come after me. But I took them down. All of them were strong, said Menma. Yeah, they ambushed me while I was coming back. And then, the Hidden Stone showed up, while I was just done with my battle. A surprise attack that caught me off guard. Naruto wasn't going to tell them that he was the one that actually let it happen, so that he could, well, get what he wanted from the Hidden Stone. He had backup plans just in case, but they would be royally pissed off if he did that, to make them realize that he was out there all the time and they thought he was dead. Minutes later, as Kushina was holding Katsumi in her arm, as she brought her towards the office, as she wondered if Minato changed his mind. But why would he want to tell her now? Not to mention in the office. Why wouldn't he want to do it at home? As she arrived towards the door, she opened it. "Minato, what is it?" "Big brother," said Katsumi, with a smile on her face as she jumped out from her mother's arms. "Where were you so long? You said that you were going on a mission. You took you so long to return." "Sir, my mission took long," said Naruto, as she looked at his coat. "Whoa, this is soft," she said, as Naruto got up to his feet. Before he could even say a single word, Kushina slammed right into him, as she hugged him. Yet he did not move a single inch as she caught her. She was crying. Katsumi was confused. "Mom?" As Kushina was crying. She was holding on to her son and crying, tears pouring from her eyes, as she held on to him tight. Meanwhile, What? Yes, I'm afraid he escaped, said Black Zetsu, as he spoke to Madara. The man's fist was clenched tightly. How can those damn idiots have someone in their grasp and let him escape like that? Right in the center of their village. But not only that, he destroyed it a lot. There is still chaos happening there. Loved ones crying for the ones that they lost. Well, he can surely hold a grudge. Vines is everywhere around the village that ripped through buildings, slaughtered people. Hundreds of civilians died. Probably 1,000 shinobis that tried to attack him. Explosions, he rained down from the heavens. I overheard the conversations. And he escaped. Not only that, I heard some rather sensitive information. He escaped with their bijus. What? The masked man said, looking towards Tetsu. Yes, it seemed like he took them. Out of spite. Probably. I know he's gone. He's probably back at Konoha as we speak. But that's a bigger problem now. With that seal master, not to mention his brother and father, who knows what they're gonna do. This doesn't change anything. This just means we can collect 3-tailed beasts in the location of one, said the masked man. There will still be a war. From what I know, he won't forgive them. After all, he was the one pushing for a war in the first place, but his father was against it. After all, Konoha always wanted to keep the peace, but that has been broken, and they will not keep it now. Time skip at the village. As Naruto had gotten a shower, he finally got to wash his hair, and his body was now cool and calm as he stood in the council chambers, along with all the other clan heads. It was a shock to find out that he was still alive, despite everything that they saw. They also told him about a white creature. The one that told them that he was dead, showed them memory of his fall. The weird thing was they couldn't find that creature's body anywhere. It just vanished. Because they were trying to find out what it was exactly made of. And what exactly was it? But there was no other memories in his head except for that single one. And that made no sense. There was no daily thoughts, nothing. It was weird. But now the body was gone. As Naruto stood in front of all the council members, all eyes was on him. As he went through hand sign before placing his hand on his chest, the seal on his chest activated as a wormhole. The space-time ninjutsu where he stored things in his pocket dimension. Several things came out. First, there was the blade of Samihata that he took from Kisame. The next two things were a body. 2 bodies to be exact. Wait, who are those? Asked Shibe as he looked at 2 bodies. These are the 4 and 5 tail container of the hidden stone. Gas could be heard all over the room as he looked at Naruto in shock. Minato blinked in complete shock as well. They were trying to take the 9 tails from me, so I figure I will return the favor and take their Jinchurikis. Now they have no major support. The only thing we have to worry about is the 2 and 8 tails from Kumo that will aid them in this battle. Nothing else, nothing more. How did you even get your hands on them? Asked Tasumi as she narrowed her eyes at the boy. Well, I was able to find them using my senjutsu. Then, I took them. I created distractions with my clone all over the village, so Oniki did not know. But that doesn't matter now, we have them. And I'm sure that this time, when I state my claims, that it will not be refused for us to take the 8 and 2 tails. To take away Kumo military power as well, as he narrowed his eyes at Sarutobi, who refrained from looking at Naruto because that was what Naruto had told them in the first place, and they did not listen, and he almost died. But Minato has already agreed to that. I'm afraid that action has already been passed, said Menma, as Naruto turned towards him. What? Father was thinking of doing the same thing. Naruto looked towards his father with shock on his face. He also looked proud of his father for making the first move. Now that's what I'm talking about, Naruto said to himself. Well then, this is a new development, Hokage-sama, said Shikaku. With this, the military strength of those villages will be lower than we thought. And with your son back, we have a more fighting chance of winning this once and for all. They all knew that. After all, with Naruto on their side and Minato and Menma, it was going to be difficult for the enemies using tail beasts against them. It was a matter of time before the war started, but the enemy was already on the losing side. Time skip. A long meeting it was as it finally came to an end. Cushion had went home to prepare a large meal for his return. They were gonna have family dinner. Snazzy had checked Naruto repeatedly, mentally and physically, but he was completely fine. Despite them trying to break him, he never broke, and he was fine. Despite the tortures that he went through, he was one tough kid after all. Katsumi didn't know what was going on. After all, she knew her brother would come back, but everyone seemed overjoyed at seeing him again. Well, she was happy to see her brother, but it was like there was something was happening that they weren't telling her. But she shrugged it off as she got to spend the day with him. At the moment though, she was currently sleeping in his lap, when someone flashed behind Naruto as he was currently on the Hokage's monument. He heard hesitant footsteps as Naruto slowly turned. And standing there was Sesame, tears in her eyes. "You're really alive," she said. Naruto got up as he summoned a clone. "Take her home," said Naruto. The clone nodded as he brought Katsumi home. "Sorry I didn't come to visit you," said Naruto. There was a lot of questions, a lot of meetings, and he was cut off as she moved forward and hugged him. As she hugged onto him tight, she was crying. She pulled back and looked at his face. Without hesitating, she pulled his face down as she planted a kiss on his lips. She did not hesitate in the slightest, as she felt his lips moving. He was kissing her back. Kurama was right, as Naruto's feelings were returning, not mentally but physically. He was hugging people. His body was reacting happily to people. On the other hand, Naruto was thinking, as he didn't know what happened after she heard about his so-called death. But it seems like she made her choice about Demon. But he couldn't ask at the moment because she would not let him go. And his body couldn't release her at the moment as he held her in his arms as the both of them kissed, right as the sun was going down. But guys, if you ain't subscribed right here, if you want the next person to do, like, subscribe, comment down below and turn on the bell notifications they posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, stay tuned for the rest of what is coming your way over in the making too. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that subscribe button and become part of the making family. And yeah, I'm all for now. See you guys soon. Peace.